Hey everyone, so I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. I typically don't film new videos on Mondays, but I couldn't not talk about this because I was really excited to see the progressive community's response to Cory Booker, the coward Democratic senator from the state of New Jersey. Now, as you all know by now, he voted down an amendment proposed by Senators Bernie Sanders and Amy Klobuchar that would have lowered prescription drug prices for Americans because it would have allowed us to import drugs from Canada. Now, little did he know, he thought that he would be able to get away with this because he testified against Jeff Sessions and, broke a tradition in the Senate, and he thought, well, I'm cultivating this national profile for myself, and I'm going to brag about this in 2020. So we thought he would get away with this, but he's not getting away with this, and basically, he's been publicly crucified, and I think that it's apparent that he knows his career is now over. So he is now in full damage control mode, and there is no escaping the wrath of progressives. So thousands of progressives have called up Cory Booker. They've sent him emails. They've reached out to him on social media via Twitter and Facebook. And then he responded with this: to those of you who have reached out to me by phone, email, social media, or otherwise about a vote I took this week related to the importation of prescription drugs, I greatly appreciate your feedback and I'm grateful for your passion. Any plan to allow the importation of prescription medications should also include consumer protections that ensure that the drugs coming into this country are safe. The amendment I voted against last week didn't meet this test. Oh, okay. Well, it couldn't possibly be, that Cory Booker accepted $300,000 from the pharmaceutical industry. It's because Canada has less regulatory standards than the United States. Right, so the country that allows people to die or go bankrupt if they have a medical emergency, that country has better standards when it comes to healthcare and prescription drugs than Canada. Sorry, bud, but nobody's buying this, and thankfully, people let him know what they thought about this ridiculous statement and why it's just completely bullshit. Jennifer reached out and said, I live in New Jersey and I disagree with your statement. I think money moved you to your choice, and I hope people will decide to run against you in your district that are true progressives, not held to money or lobbies that truly care for the people of this state. And he responded with this bullshit line, I haven't forgotten where I come from. I still live in Newark. Yeah, bud, we don't care where you live. You live in the asshole of the pharmaceutical industry because you are way far up their asses. And look, let's be clear here. It's not just the pharmaceutical industry that bought off Cory Booker. He has his hands in every single cookie jar. Now, some more backlash he's received. Eric here states, I guarantee that Booker and the other Democrats who voted for this bill thought no one was going to notice since we were all focused on the confirmation hearings. But what they failed to realize is that after the elections, we are super focused on paying extra attention. This may have been a career-killing vote, Mr. Booker. And then he responded saying, Eric, I'm sorry your perception of this is off. Please read. And he kept posting this idiotic article, which is basically just a propaganda piece written by someone in Washington Monthly that said, well, this bill, it doesn't really matter because it's not binding, so I don't care if Cory Booker didn't vote correctly on this. No, you should care because what Cory Booker did was he conveyed a strong message to the pharmaceutical industry saying, yeah, I'm going to come through for you guys because of that money. This vote was a thank you. So if you can't see that, then you're just blind and you're never going to get real change because you're going to apologize for corporatist Democrats and allow them to keep screwing over the American people. Another message here from Mickey. I publicly called you the new hope for Democrats. Your vote on this issue made me look like a chump, and you look like all the politicians before you. I'm disappointed in your decision and in this cop-out explanation. And again, he states, you are just wrong on this. I hope you will take a step and look at what this vote actually was. And again, he posts the same stupid article. William states, checks to see if people are dying at alarming rates in Canada because of unsafe prescription drugs. Gonna call bullshit on this one, Cory. And of course, he responded to this thread with the same dumb article. Mark states, with all due respect, bullshit. No one in Canada dies because the drugs are tainted. You're caving to more than $300,000 in the big pharma lobbies to have bought you with. Love it. And, there were more people that lashed out. And of course, he responded again with the one article that he could find that came to his defense. So after arguing with people on his Facebook page, he realized it was a lost cause and it's time to just deflect and not focus on this, to just move on and try to pretend like it didn't happen. So he posts, quote, not only will we have to repent for the sins of bad people, but we will also have to repent for the appalling silence of good people. And then the top comment, again, I'd like to think MLK Jr. would have stood up to big pharmaceutical corporations and do everything in his power to provide more affordable medication to the less fortunate. Just a thought. And then another comment here. Please donate the pharmaceutical donor money you accepted to a charity of your choice, or inform your constituents what you did with that money. You were elected to represent the people of New Jersey, not enrich yourself. And then we have another post from Cory Booker that's unrelated. He shared a quote of himself. Anyone who attacks Representative John Lewis loses legitimacy in my eyes, especially someone who made such a craven effort to delegitimize Barack Obama. The first comment from Amy. Cory, redeem yourself and come up with a bill to lower drug prices. You claim the amendment you voted against did not protect Americans. Provide us with a new bill which lowers drug prices and a safety clause. Until then, just be quiet. And then Talia says, anyone who votes to not lower drug prices and pockets hundreds of thousands of dollars loses my respect. Used to think so highly of you, Booker. And then another one here, he talks about Donald Trump and private prisons. And then, again, the top comment, whose side are you on, Cory Booker? America is watching and paying attention now more than ever. Why would you vote against Bernie Sanders' bill? Nothing is perfect, so why not vote for and improve? You let Big Pharma win against the American people. Sad you don't have courage to stand up another political bot, or another politician bot. And then he said, it wasn't a piece of legislation that we voted on. It was a non-binding resolution, and I and some others believed it should have had more safety precautions in the language. Yeah. Now, the reason why people are still rightfully outraged at Cory Booker, and the reason why we should be even more angry, is because he's not being completely honest with you guys. So there's an article in Mike that explains the big problem with Cory Booker's reasoning for voting down low-cost imported medicine. It states, back in December, Booker voted to weaken federal safety standards that regulate whether medication can be sold in the United States in the name of broader consumer access to drugs, but experimental ones, not necessarily cheaper ones. The 21st Century Cures Act, which Booker vocally supported, passed with resounding bipartisan support and was signed into law last month. The law promised government investments in cancer and Alzheimer's research, allocated funds to fight the opioid epidemic, and contained a host of other measures intended to facilitate the modernization of the healthcare industry. Among those steps was one to roll back the notorious gauntlet of Food and Drug Administration regulations in order to expedite the arrival of experimental medicine and medical equipment to market, with the idea of allowing Americans easier access to cutting-edge treatments for what ails them. Despite the overwhelming support in Congress, critics were vocal about flaws in the bill, notably the rollback of FDA regulations that would benefit pharmaceutical and medical tech companies. So just last month, Cory Booker voted to weaken FDA regulations when it comes to drugs at the behest of pharmaceutical donors. And now he voted again to appease them. So Cory, if it's the case that you care about regulations, then why did you vote for the 21st Century Cures Act? So which is it? I think we know what it is, Cory Booker. The fact of the matter is that you were bought off, and now you don't like the fact that real progressives are exposing you. Well, you're done, Cory Booker. Your career is over. The highest that you can go is a United States Senator, and that's pretty good. But if you have any other political ambitions, don't. You're done, and the progressive community will rain down on you hard, just like we did over this bill. You will not become the next president. We will defeat you. We will fight you. So you might as well just step down and become a lobbyist for the pharmaceutical industry, because we know that's what you want to do. You're not going to be president. Your career is done. You've peaked. It's over for you. You fucked up bad. And I love that we made an example out of you, because you made an ass out of yourself. And a lot of the time, politicians, they can get away with things like this. But you, knowing that, you're currently cultivating a national profile because you are going to run in 2020, we're not going to forget. You fucked up, Cory Booker, and you're a bad person. You should not even be in the Senate. You might as well step down. I don't know what you're doing here, because you don't care about the American people. You're running because you have your own political ambitions to fulfill. So you are nothing more than a puppet for the pharmaceutical industry. Nobody's believing you. Nobody buys anything that you're saying, and nobody will buy what you're going to sell to them in 2020. To any progressive who called Cory Booker and, tweeted at him and sent him a message on Facebook, you helped make a difference. We really do have the power. We can hold these corporatist Democrats accountable. And I'm glad that we were able to make an example out of Cory Booker, and I want every other centrist Democrat in Congress to know that if you decide to vote with your donors to screw over the American people, the same thing that happened to Cory Booker is going to happen to you as well. We will call you out, and yes, you will be sorry that you made this pathetic cowardice vote. So, I couldn't not share this with you because it's great. So I would advise you to head on over to Cory Booker's Facebook page because he's getting his ass ripped to shreds, and he deserved it. It's great.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.